Cincinnati Bengals versus the Titans. This is going to be the first game of the divisional round weekend this Saturday. I like Derrick Henry for over 78.5 rushing yards. On OddsShopper, we have him projected for 105.5. That is way over that 78.5 number. Return on investment at 39% and win expectancy at 74%. Derrick Henry, obviously a little questionable heading into this game. He's been out since week 8 with an injury. But when the Titans use him, they use him as a workhorse. Last week that he played was week 8. He only had 68 yards, but out of the 8 games he did play earlier this season, he went over this number in 6 out of 8 of them. He had 937 rushing yards on the year just in those 8 games. If he is at full health, I think the Titans will use him early and often to get ahead. So I like the 78.5 over on rushing yards. Second game I'm going to be looking at is the anticipated AFC game between the Bills and the Chiefs. Most people think whoever wins this game is going to win the AFC outright. I like Dawson Knox of the Bills for under 4.5 receptions. On OddsShopper, we have been projected for 3.5 receptions, return on investment at 11%, and win expectancy at 74%. For this specific play, I sorted on OddsShopper by highest win expectancy, so that 74% is one of the highest and most likely plays to hit. Dawson's only gone over this number in 1 out of his last 5 games. That was actually the last game out against New England. They blew them out, so I feel like he had more targeting opportunities in that game. The Chiefs have allowed for over 4,000 passing yards in their gameplay so far this season, but I still like the under for Knox here at 4.5 receptions. The San Francisco 49ers taking on the Green Bay Packers. I feel like Green Bay is a little bit haunted going into this game. Aaron Rodgers has never beat San Francisco in postseason play. I like Deebo Samuel, though, of the 49ers for under 5.5 receptions. Projected right now on OddsShopper for 4.5. Win expectancy at 73% and ROI at 12%. Deebo's only gone over this number in 1 out of 5 games, and that was a loss to the Titans earlier this season. Last time out against Green Bay, he did just have 5 receptions, so slightly under this number for 52 yards. Deebo, I feel like, will be used more in the run game like he was last week against the Cowboys, but he is a big receiver too. He has over 1,400 yards so far this year, but I still like the under on the reception mark at 5.5 for Deebo. To recap, our top 3 best NFL props on OddsShopper for this weekend, we've got Derrick Henry for over 78.5 rushing yards, Dawson Knox for under 4.5 receptions, and then Deebo Samuel for under 5.5 receptions. Guys, go check out OddsShopper right now, especially for these divisional round matchups this weekend in the NFL. You can shop all the NFL plays that you want, sort by highest return on investment, highest win expectancy. You can even sort by specific player or specific team. Can't wait for this weekend in the divisional round in the NFL playoffs, guys. Good luck.
Dogs barking, I know. It's like kismet. Just the package delivery, perfect timing. Oh, I guess my wife's home. That's what it is. So she'll stop here. All right, Awesemo, here we go. It's your old pal UMac coming to you on a Saturday morning, bright and early, with this mega 3-game slate. We're back to the unbalanced schedules. The MLK holiday sort of threw everything off. We had heavy Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. games, just 3 tonight, but we do have the potential for a 9-game slate tomorrow, depending on when the sites so choose to tip off their main slates. There are 3 games at 6 o'clock and then 6 going at 7 o'clock or later. NFL kickoff tomorrow night will be just before that. It's an early game. I think it's 6:30 kickoff. So we'll see how the sites play this out. I'm sure no one will be consistent, but that'll just give us something else to complain about. Gundacker, what are you doing here today, my friend?
Here? What am I doing? I'm supposed to be here, right? You phrased that awkwardly. I thought I'm uninvited. No, 3 games tonight, a lot of potentially double-digit spreads, all but 2, and that third one has a chance to get there. So Mama said there'd be slates like this, but we're all playing from the same deck of cards, right? So we'll see if we can make better decisions than the rest of the field.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to. So this will be fun. There's some decision points. This will be a nice backdrop going against the 2-game NFL slate today. Of course, we've got a bunch of NFL shows coming up. We've got NHL in the hopper. There's going to be 6 or 7 shows after us. We have half a dozen videos on demand, and you can get On the Contrary, breaking down the full NFL slate. Was recorded yesterday afternoon. Dave Loughran and 2 special guests. We had Orinpak joining in. So Ryan and Neil Orfield came on in, and those guys specialize in these smaller slates, smaller fields, and how to understand to utilize leverage against the field, etc. So it's a lot of fun. You guys definitely can check that out. It's already on the YouTube channel, and of course it is on the Awesemo Podcast Network. And then before we dive in here, remind everybody, please do hit that like button. It does help us out. We just reached 71,500 subscribers. Very cool indeed. We could not do all of our free content without you guys helping us out and growing the channel. All right, let's look in here at our first game. We have, scrolling down, we have Sacramento at Milwaukee, 231.5 over under here. Sacramento, they're the one team you alluded to that is not yet double-digit underdogs, but we have some hefty home favorites across the board here. So Sacramento, the only player they have questionable is Tyrese Halliburton. He cleared the health and safety protocol. He missed about a week, which also means he missed a week of practice with the team. It's going to be a conditioning issue to see what he does tonight. And then Milwaukee, the one question we have with them is who's going to sit tonight? Because they did have a game last night. They beat Chicago 94-90. Giannis played 37 minutes. Middleton played 36. Drew Holiday, who had missed 2 weeks, he was in his second game back off the bench, played 27 minutes. He played 22 in his first game. Wouldn't surprise me if he sits, or potentially Giannis in this one. This is the first game of the night, so we'll have all those moving parts. Let's play it out as if we think everybody's going to be healthy. What are you seeing here? Let's start off with the Milwaukee side.
Yeah, Milwaukee, if they're full strength, then I think this being the highest total and for what it's worth the closest spread, we'd have to at least do our due diligence in exploring who makes the most sense for DFS. In my early projections, no surprise, Giannis Antetokounmpo led the slate in fantasy points, and it's by a wide margin. So on these short slates, raw fantasy points tend to mean more because you separate that player from the rest of the field by that wide of a margin. I think Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be one of the guys we try to anchor onto unless he is part of that potential news that you alluded to. And then past him on FanDuel, Bobby Portis just does not move in price. He's been low 6Ks for as long as I can remember. And this is still a great spot for him. Sacramento Kings allow the most points in the paint in the league. They're not great on the crashing the glass either. So it's a really good spot for Bobby Portis to pay off 6,300 on FanDuel. Love his dual position eligibility. So I'd probably be starting most lineups with Giannis and Bobby Portis. Middleton and Drew Holiday, I might drive a wedge between them. Both guys have 40 plus fantasy point potential, but I don't know that the price points are going to work well if I am trying to prioritize Giannis and Bobby to an extent. But I would be really interested to see if Budenholzer uses this game as an opportunity to maybe stagger some rest here. And on the King side, like you said, Halliburton could play, but we've seen a couple of guys get babied in conditioning wise to where they don't necessarily play that first game that they're available to play. But if he did play, we've seen him kind of eat into Fox's potential assist upside and a little bit of usage. If he did not play, we get one more chance for De'Aaron Fox to hold nearly a 30% usage rate and a 27.5 assist rate. So I would like from a DFS standpoint for Halliburton to go on and take one more game off, and that would let me key in on Fox a little bit more, and it also give us a couple extra minutes on the projection for Terrence Davis, Buddy Hield, maybe some Davion Mitchell. But like you said, I think from this far out, it's probably most fair if we just assume they all play. And if they all play, Halliburton being $1,000 cheaper, less than Fox on DraftKings, with both those guys having a pretty similar range of outcomes when they play together, I probably lean to a little bit more Halliburton in that split, pending a potential, minutes monitor situation. Marvin Bagley, Rashawn Holmes, Alex Len, this front court's pretty cluttered. Chimezie Metu. So I probably wouldn't get there at first. I might circle back later because it is a 3-game slate and whatever fits. But it's a pretty tough matchup. Milwaukee Bucks do limit opposing teams from having a lot of success in the paint. You don't really see a lot of 22-minute to 25-minute centers really pop off here. So most of my interest on the Milwaukee side, but I would be interested in the Kings guard situation, and very hopeful that Halliburton status comes out early enough to clear things up. As you know, Milwaukee being a team that we like to target perimeter shooters against. So Fox, Halliburton, and Buddy Hield, all guys that will pull up from downtown. And I would probably spin the wheel, make a deal on those three in a player pool based on the Halliburton availability and the Halliburton minutes expected, assuming he's not limited if he does play.
Yeah, the issue also with Sacramento, now that they're again fully healthy for the first time in seemingly forever, you've got Rashawn Holmes, who missed a ton of games for a variety of issues, including a laceration near his eye that just kept him out. He's only played twice this month. And that's so conditioning is an issue because he also missed the couple of weeks heading into Christmas as well. So we don't really know what's going to be happening. So even if he's starting, we've also seen Marvin Bagley continue to be in the starting lineup. And remember, he was relegated to the hinterlands by the coaching staff and the organization. Why they didn't want to prop him up, at least to try to get, some sort of trade value to move on from him, who knows? But now he's in the starting lineup. He's had some decent games. You've got Metu floating around there. He gets the occasional spot start depending on what's going on with the opposition. So they all of a sudden have a really crowded front court. Their wings, it's going to be Hield and Barnes holding down the fort. And then you mentioned their backcourt, of course, with the guys that'll feel the pinch is Terrence Davis. And then we should see a fair amount of Davion Mitchell tonight, just because plenty of people for him to guard between Holiday taking a turn. Not that anybody can guard Giannis, but he's generally their defensive stopper. He'll get Drew and Middleton, etc. But he is very hit or miss when it comes to the fantasy points, mostly dependent on I don't even know what he's dependent on, because he can get minutes and have an empty box score, or he can have 20 minutes and put up 30 fantasy points. He's been all over the board. There seems to be no real rhyme or reason with what's going on with him. But I point him out because all of these guys are in the mid upper teens to low 20s on our sponsor Yahoo. So that'll be something we kind of want to look at and see how they feather into our lineups, depending on, even though there's just 6 teams in the player pool, there will be news, Gundacker. There always is.
Always.
NBA, pandemic or not, there's always going to be something going on here. But I want to point out before we do another look here at the Milwaukee side here from a Yahoo perspective, Yahoo is presenting the show today. So we want to give them a shout out. They have some big contests set up for this weekend, both from NBA as well as NFL. The NFL one are really good. So I spent my morning doing the run sheet and then entering a bunch of the NFL contests over here on Yahoo. And I was messaging with T McBee, and I was writing an article, and I was doing laundry, and I cleaned the bathroom, and I made breakfast. And it was a productive morning. This is what happens when you go to bed at a reasonable hour last night. But the thing that really stood out to me on their contests, if we look at just today's contest only, the Saturday only NFL contest, we've got the no-fee baller, which means there's no management fee is what they call it. Some people call it rake, but usually theirs are around between 4 and 10%, depending on the contest. Sometimes they'll get up to 11 or 12. That's well below the 16 that's always there for DraftKings and FanDuel. So that's a nice one. They have a bunch of these everyone wins contests. Now, people say, oh, well, I'm not getting anything extra. Yeah, but it's nice to not see you winning zero. So it's a little bit of a bunny. They have lower management fees here. The one thing that's nice about this is it allows you to accumulate their player points with a lot less risk, or use some of their site credits with a lot less risk. Speaking of site credit, Gundacker, you're going to want to jump into this one. There's only 900 spots left, but the $50,000 you play, we match site credit, $15 in single entry. So if you play each $15, regardless of how you finish, tomorrow you're going to have $15 of Yahoo site credit in your account.
I mean,
they're paying you to play, right? They're paying you to play. There is no risk on that one.
You lose money by not playing it.
Look at that. That's like next level stuff here. But that is the concept. And then they also have the full 4-game NFL slate here. And if we click on that, we can see, oh, look at that. There's a single entry contest there, just $3. It's the Awesemo exclusive. And look, if you finish first, you get 1 full year of Awesemo premium content. If you finish second, you get 6 months. Third is 3 months. Fourth is 2 months. Fifth is 1 month. And that's in addition to the regular payouts. So those are some massive values there. That's about a $900 bunny added there or to the top prize, because it's apparently bunny's my word today, because it's almost $1,000 value here for the Awesemo annual subscription. So a lot of ways we're giving back here. Yahoo's giving back to you. Great site over there. You can join. If you haven't already joined, go to the link in the description of this video here, and you'll be able to click through that. Once you make your deposit, Yahoo's going to give you $10 of site credit. Play in a paid contest, so not with the site credit contest, but you need to put your money in. He's playing a dollar contest, and then they're going to send an email to us saying, hey, this person came in on your link. You need to give them 30 free days of Awesemo premium content. We'll send you off a code that gets you 30 free days of Awesemo premium content. That's a win-win all around. So you're definitely going to want to check that out. Yahoo's doing some great things over there, and it's been a lot of fun playing there. I have been over there since their inception, and it is a lot of fun to play. It's a unique site. There's not a lot of specific content for it, but we have all of our tools built out for Yahoo as well, and you'll get that if you have the Awesemo premium package. All right, back to the Milwaukee side of things here. So Giannis at the top. He is nobody projects within even 10 points of him from a fantasy perspective. If he plays, we're going to want to have him in our lineups. We have seen now his game log's not coming up, so I'm going to do this one from memory. I believe he had 50 something last night in 37 minutes. There we go. He had almost 30 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists. The game before that, he fouled out. Giannis fouled out. I don't know how often that happens, but he still only played 31 minutes, 65 fantasy points. He's averaging 2 fantasy points a minute in these games. That is obscene. So if we're going to get 28 to 30 minutes of him, he probably won't kill us. And there's a decent chance he's a top 5 scorer on the slate. We're looking for some raw points tonight. There are some other sources we'll talk about, but that's something I think is important to understand, that he has been just that good. So that'll be our biggest decision point, and it may be made, well, it will be made for us. If he's out, well, clearly we're going to look to Middleton. First, he generally sees about 1.3 fantasy points per minute since the beginning of last season when Giannis is off the court. Drew Holiday normally would be another guy we would go to. I don't know. He might sit on the back-to-back. I don't foresee him playing more than 28 minutes, 30 minutes tonight under any particular circumstances, and it wouldn't shock me if he comes off the bench one more time here. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But anything else here for you perhaps Grayson Allen, a Pat Connaughton, Dante DiVincenzo. Those guys are $10 or $11 on Yahoo. If you were choosing one, and we aren't choosing George Hill because friends don't let friends play George Hill in fantasy contests, but DiVincenzo, Connaughton, Grayson Allen, maybe Grayson Allen can step on somebody's nuts again. We'll see.
Yeah, I know you said you went to bed early. I don't know if you caught that Grayson Allen ejection last night.
I saw it. I didn't see it, but I read about it, and that's where I was saying I don't even want to go look and see what he did. So you're here. What did he do?
I mean, he had a questionable move on Alex Caruso, and it resulted. This was a little bit more dangerous impact than some of his tripping antics. So. You pull that off in the league, man. The word gets around pretty quick, especially Caruso's got a little respect to him. So we'll see if there's anything coming from that. But hey, it's not just a Drew Middleton or Giannis that could maybe get rested here. Maybe a George Hill. He's an elder statesman. He might get a rest day. So if one of those supplementary guard guys got the night off, maybe we'd boost interest in a Connaughton or DiVincenzo for some potential value. I did take a peek at our early ownership projections at Awesemo, and Giannis is projected to be the highest owned player, and for him to be the highest owned, highest priced guy, usually he's going to grab one or two value plays along for the ride. So maybe it is a Connaughton or DiVincenzo by the time Locke gets here that rise up. But from this far out, I wouldn't necessarily have a reason to like one more than the other. We're just hoping for ranges of outcomes. And this game gets a little too lopsided. Maybe the fourth quarter glory of one of those sub 4K guys get you there.
All right. I see Jordan Klein's in the chat. Jordan, it's supposed to be your morning off, my friend. Yet here he is up at the crack of dawn on the West Coast watching our show. I feel blessed. With that. So we'll see what happens here. Oh, Chris says producer Chris, he's got a flex here. He's going to show the play because his other producer team has been really stepping up their game. He needs to put those whippersnappers in place. But he's showing the screen. Oh wow, that is pretty weak.
Yeah. League might review that too. You might get a rest day by suspension.
Yeah, that one will probably. I don't think it will impact him tonight, but that's probably going to cost him a game there, if not a $25,000-$50,000 fine, something in that range. Really not necessary, especially. I mean, you think about how high these guys get up in the air when they're going, and all it takes is that you ever see. What was that comic book movie? The guy who runs around real fast. I don't think his name's not Quicksilver, but you know what I'm talking about. The kid who wears the goggles and races around like everything's in slow motion.
Patrick Beverly. No,
Wolverine. He's one of Wolverine's friends. Or
Yeah.
I don't watch all those games, but I've seen that highlight a bunch of times. All he does is just tap people or do little things because he's going super fast and they're super slow. And he'll just tap somebody's hand and it'll make it punch themselves and all of that. That's about what it looked like with this Grayson Allen player. Someone in chat will let me know. Quicksilver. There we go. Quicksilver. Yeah, the Marvel universe, the DC universe. I don't know anymore. Everybody's everywhere. Can't we just have normal comics once again? All right.
Oh my God.
We're stretching for time.
Yes,
here.
I was thinking this morning. I was like,
and 40 minutes.
I was like, how are we gonna fill 3 games? Here we are talking Quicksilver, but I like that we can look at clips. That's hey, our producer can bring it. Right. Absolutely. All these other shows got some good producers, but I don't know. Chris is pretty good.
It's like we're driving in luxury today. All right. Game number 2. Oklahoma City at Cleveland. 12.5 point favorites. Cleveland are 209 over under here. Rajon Rondo questionable, dealing with that hamstring injury. He has not played in the last 5 games. He last played January 10th. No idea where his conditioning is because I believe he was also in the health and safety protocol when he got traded to Cleveland. So, of course, this means Darius Garland, who is definitely taking things up to the next level, is going to be the primary guard because, Colin Sexton's out for the season, Ricky Rubio out for the season. So if we look at kind of those 2 phases from the 20 or so games that Garland played without Sexton, he was phenomenal. And then once Rubio went out and Sexton, I forget if he missed with an injury or COVID, but once he's come back, I think he's played about 7 or 8 games since then. He has just been phenomenal. He has 3 of his career high 9 fantasy point totals in the last 6 games. We're seeing stuff at a new level. It is absolutely amazing. He's got confidence in his shot. The defense, I mean, it's like if you're Kevin Love, you're like, hey, you know what? Maybe I don't need to be traded. These guys are actually pretty good. I'll come off the bench, do a little passing, take a few shots here and there. This isn't so bad. I mean, I'd rather be he'd rather be back in LA where he grew up, but not so bad. I mean, Cleveland's really turned things around. The Thunder, on the other hand, yikes. I think they're like 1-9 in their last 10. They don't have anybody who's injured, but they'll probably sit somebody tonight down the depth chart. This is a back-to-back for the Thunder. It's also a 3-4. Last night, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Josh Giddey each played 33 minutes. The only other starter that even got close to that played 29. I think it was, I can't remember if it was Dort or Baisley. I didn't write that down, but they just got gobsmacked by the Hornets in Charlotte. Cleveland last played on Wednesday. They play next on Monday. So we've got a really big island game for them. Talk to us a little bit about Oklahoma City. Do you think we see one of the one of the tertiary options sitting tonight? Who knows what's going on? They don't care about winning. I don't know if they care about anything. What do you want from OKC? Because we only have 6 teams in our player pool, so this represents a lot of it.
Yeah, usually my rule of OKC is SGA, Dort, and Giddey. Every now and then I'll get pushed in a corner and get some Jeremiah Robinson Earl just because he's so cheap. No matter which way you slice it today, Cavs is not a great matchup. Oklahoma City Thunder come into this weekend with the worst offensive efficiency in all of basketball. Meanwhile, the Cavs have a top 3 defensive efficiency. So those are 2 metrics that don't necessarily play nice with each other. And because of that, we're seeing a 12-point spread. We're also knowing that, both teams play at a lower pace. So I'm not expecting a lot of possessions here. And most of the possessions we're going to get likely have the Cavs flex in here. So I'm going to avoid Thunder as much as I can. I will say if we paint a picture for it to be competitive, 8,600 for SGA on DraftKings has some meat on the bone for 40 plus, even 50 if it is one of those surprise games. And then Josh Giddey at FanDuel at 6,100. I think he's a guy that does just enough of everything that he's always live, because 30 plus fantasy points is an easier task for when he's just stuffing the stat sheet. So those are probably the 2 guys that I like specifically on each site. Usually on a back-to-back, one of the random front court centers or Favors or Muscala or somebody like that end up not playing. I don't think Favors touched the court last night. So maybe, you get the random start out of him. He started against the Cavs on the 15th. So maybe, or not started, but he played against the Cavs on the 15th. He may have started, but only got 17 minutes. If that happened, it would make this front court even harder to predict. And then price-wise, Aaron Wiggins is $3,700, and he's been part of a 30 plus minute expectation. Not really something to be excited about, especially if he's going to cross up with one of the best defenders in basketball, more than he doesn't in Evan Mobley. So not much to love on the Thunder side. You have to look at them and appreciate the minutes, the opportunity on a 3-game slate, and understand that, floor versus ceiling, you might lean floor in a couple of spots, and 25, 30 fantasy points might mean more today than they did on a slate like last night. The Cavs side, a lot more lucrative through and through. Garland, like you mentioned, in the absence of both Rubio and Colin Sexton, has held a 27% usage rate, and get this, a 43% assist rate. He's got his hand in just about everything, and I've been loading up on Garland props as often as I can get them. So I don't mind getting to him on either site. On DK at 9K, it feels like if we're going to make Giannis Antetokounmpo a priority, that 9K Darius Garland is going to be a little harder to get to. Bullishly right now, we're looking at 29% 35% projected ownership. And on FanDuel, I think it's the easier spot to pull him up. He's sitting at 40%. So he's not going to be a secret by any stretch of the imagination, but on a 3-game slate, you might expect most of the good plays to hit 30 to 50% ownership just because the field is smart. Evan Mobley versus Jared Allen. They're both getting pretty decent minutes. We've seen Mobley kind of get more minutes, but Allen do more with his minutes. I don't think today is a day for me to drive a wedge between them. I think 6,600 on FanDuel for Mobley. You know, that dog will hunt. The Thunder front court has been one of the worst front courts in all of basketball. They also allow amongst the most blocks per game, and Mobley's a guy averaging almost 2 blocks per game. We know Jared Allen can rack up the blocks, so I'll definitely let those guys fly in the player pool. And here's a fun name gaining some traction via our ownership projections at Awesemo. On DraftKings, Kevin Love currently coming in as the 3rd highest owned player, $5,100, 33% ownership. It's really, really far between now and lock, but surely makes a whole lot of sense. 20 to 25 minutes from him against this Thunder front court, you could see one of those spike 30 fantasy point games. And like I said, 30 means more today than most other slates. So I'm all about some Cavs exposure here. There'll probably be, I could probably see myself get to 3 Cavs quite a bit in my mass entry. But no fun clicks on the Thunder, but I think just because it's such a short slate, we'll have to get to some.
Yeah, so looking first at from the Yahoo perspective here, looking at the Cleveland side of things, Darius Garland just $34. You have Mobley at 31, and you have Jarrett Allen at 30. Those guys are each coming in around 35%. I suspect we may see that tick up as people start to look into their games a little more in recent play. The guys, or the direct leverage comparison, I think, is you sort of hit on Kevin Love. He's 17 on Yahoo. Lauri Markkanen is 19. Do you have a preference between those two? Similar type production. I don't want to say similar games, but they both take a lot of those elbow jumpers and tend to be known a little bit more for their offense. They both can pass a little bit. Markkanen, a pretty good rebounder, not quite the passer that Kevin Love is, but Love clearly has the 3-point range and is a better scorer overall, more consistent scorer than Markkanen. Would you prefer one over the other on these, especially on DK? Just 400 more to go with Markkanen to shed about 25% of the popularity there?
Yeah, I mean, from a leverage and strategic standpoint, it definitely makes a lot of sense. I think Markkanen gets more minutes than Love more often than he doesn't. We just expect Love to do more in his per minute production than Markkanen. But yeah, Markkanen's finding a little bit of a lane here in the last couple of games. I think he had a career high against Chicago in that last outing. So maybe we're chasing and we expect that to maybe regress more to the norm, which is probably high 20s. But from a leverage standpoint on a slate this small, where just the littlest margin of difference can mean that much in the top 1%, top 0.1%. If Markkanen outscored Kevin Love by 4 to 8 fantasy points, no one's going to be surprised, and that could be the big change. So I don't think that's a bad call out. Like I said, we expect Love to do more with his minutes, but I expect Markkanen to get more minutes.
Do you know why Markkanen did so well in the last game?
He was looking for revenge. Wait, hold on. I've been waiting to use this in conversation because I got to be hip. Because he's pushing P, bro.
Pushing P, exactly. That's exactly what he was doing there. Pushing P. I am going to somehow, I see everybody's putting that in their Twitter bio. The moment I do, that means that pushing P is officially over. He has been pushed. There will be no more.
Way to go.
I'm going to time it at some point this weekend. That is just going to end as soon as I put that in my Twitter bio. So we'll see what happens there. But yes, it was his former team. He has played them 3 times this year. 2 of the games he has over 40 fantasy points. Just saying, revenge, remember me, what however you guys want to say it. Slipping back here to the OKC side, looking at it, the seaside, Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Yeah, the Yahoo Aaron Wiggins is the one that stands out for me. Just $11. He does get some defensive stats. We get 3 points for blocks and steals over there, similar to the FanDuel scoring. Is Yahoo. Sometimes shooting guard can be a position that is a pain to fill because there'll be some high-end options, not much in the mid tier. So tonight we're looking at Booker and somehow Garland is shooting guard eligible. Take that, absolutely. But then it sort of dips down a little bit, and you get into a bit of a scrum here where Wiggins is only a handful of points behind the rest of the guys, but he's coming in at half of their salary. So you got to start to look at that if you want that to be a savings spot here. Now we do get shooting guard and a guard, and tonight isn't quite as disparate as it was even last night with 11 games. I was mostly playing players from the 8:30 games on in my lineup. Shooting guard was just a disaster last night. There wasn't really a lot to get to, especially when you chose not to pick DeAnthony Melton because he screwed us over the last game. So that's why we can never play him again. But that sort of breaks things down here from this game. Still got one more to go. I want to remind everybody that you too can get the access to all of the Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFS sport out there with an Awesemo weekly pass that's just $29.95 that gives you access to everything, all sports, all sites, player projections, ownership projections, the boom bust tool, lineup builder, a whole bunch more. It also gives you access to the Discord channel, which is quite helpful. And of course, we've got Alex and Ben Rasa for the time being dropping some premium bets each day into the Discord to look across the different sports of what they're doing. You guys don't always realize this, but Ben has been an actual better. Ben has been a winning better, not Ben the better, but our own Ben Rasa has been doing this for years. I mean, now that it's legal and on mobile devices in New York, that's very helpful for him. But he wasn't opposed to driving over to New Jersey or heading up to Connecticut from time to time. And of course, he knew a guy. So just know that Ben's been doing this for a long time, well before DFS. So he's pretty good at that. So getting his advice in there is very helpful. And of course, in the Discord, we also have the premium betting channels and all sorts of other stuff, which very helpful as more and more states are coming online. We're learning all this fun stuff. It's one thing to say, oh yeah, I do this or I do that. I have learned, because betting has been live for about a year here in Virginia, I have learned that it's not as easy when you can't bet and what you think you can do as when you actually put your hard-earned money into play here. So it's very helpful having these guys help us avoid those bear traps. We're still going to step in them, but if we don't step in as many, that's better for everybody. But you guys can check that out. And then if you're on a budget, you just want to get the Awesemo NBA Express package, that's just $4.95 a week. It gives you the player rankings, ownership rankings, which basketball, basically you need to know who the top 4 or 5 guys are. And then after that, it's like, all right, now that I know who the chalk is, I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do myself. So you want to come home, just make a couple lineups that'll have a fighting chance of cashing that you can watch as you put the kids to bed, or you're kicking back, unwinding from a hard day's work. That's the package for you. That will definitely help you out. All right, heading into our final game here, Indiana at Phoenix. Now here we actually have some injury news. Or injury impact. So Sabonis is going to miss at least a week here. He turned his ankle pretty good there, and he sat out the last game. You've got Karis LeVert, who also sat out the last game with a sore calf. And then Malcolm Brogdon is coming back from his yet another injury to the Achilles this time. He did not play. That was in their back-to-back. Yet somehow they beat Golden State in overtime. They turned up. Let me call up this box score because it was just that good. So somehow Golden State ended up with a little bit of egg on their face on Thursday, losing in overtime 121-117. So the Pacers surprisingly did not really rain down the threes. We thought that was going to be the way it happened. They were 15 of 35, so it's 43%. No great shakes there. But what happened was the Warriors did not make their threes. They were just 9 of 42. Basically, that cost them the game. So it kind of went a different direction. And of course, we didn't get the blowout run, and all the things that we thought were going to happen did not happen. Gundacker, I guess there's a reason they play these games, but no Sabonis. On the other side, no DeAndre Ayton. I see the Never Again crowd is strong to say they don't want to play JaVale McGee. That means we probably should play JaVale McGee. Bismack Biyombo, who knows what he's going to do, but we've got a nice blank canvas here. I suspect we will see LeVert tonight. probably Brogdon as well. In this one, both teams again played on Thursday. They don't play again until Monday. So to me, aside from Sabonis, I think the questionable guys are going to be in. How do you want to approach the Indiana side of things? Walk us through that here.
Yeah, I agree with you. It felt like, when Sabonis hurt his ankle the night before, knowing that Brogdon had missed the stretch, came back first game from an Achilles, knowing that you were going to be without Miles Turner, Sabonis, and it would be very reasonable to rest Brogdon, it felt like it was a perfect punt spot to rest LeVert as well. So I expect LeVert and Brogdon to probably play tonight. And in that split, we know there's still elevated usage to compensate for in the absence of Sabonis and Turner. And we look at LeVert and Brogdon to kind of pick up the pieces. You would have a little less confidence because of the matchup, Phoenix being solid defensively, and we're also dealing with a 12-point spread, but we were dealing with that last game for the Pacers, and they were able to overcome. But LeVert at AK in this spot definitely has 40+ fantasy point potential. Same for Malcolm Brogdon, and Brogdon on FanDuel is pretty cheap, all things considered. I know he just played 26 minutes against the Lakers. Maybe that 26 can get a little closer to 28, 30. Achilles is very, very dangerous to rush back, especially for a team that probably benefits more from losing at this current stage than winning. But 6,600 on a short slate, I still got to think about Brogdon. But LeVert probably leads my expectations in terms of fantasy points, minutes, and all the like. The front court of the Pacers in the absence of Sabonis, we saw Goga Bitadze step up. And I don't know if Chris got this one queued up, but he actually got ejected in that game for.
Hey, when you get posterized by the mitten, come on, you gotta bluster. You gotta show you're ready to be pushing Pete.
Yeah,
I'm gonna misuse that phrase before I fully kill it. So just so you guys know.
That head, kudos to Gary Payton for no selling the head button, just like laughing. You can't look cool if the guy's laughing. But yeah, Bitadze at 31 minutes before getting the heave ho. So, I expect, 30 minutes coming his way. Maybe O'Shea Brissett is another guy that should benefit with that front court missing the pieces that they are missing. He saw 22 minutes against Golden State. And then they have this kid, Isaiah Jackson, who hasn't been getting a ton of minutes, but in the minutes he's getting, he's showing some point per minute potential. So if you're trying to get really different in 100K to first, something like that, if you do think it could blow out, maybe Isaiah Jackson sneaks into the fourth quarter and gets some run and could pay off, an 18-minute shot and maybe get you another 30 fantasy points like he did last game. It gets really hard to stomach past LeVert, but like I said, we're all dealing with the same deck of cards on this slate, and at least the Suns, even though they're pretty solid defensively, they will push the pace a little bit, which creates a couple more implied possessions for those fantasy points to accrue. The Suns side, we know what to expect without DeAndre Ayton. Chris Paul, Devin Booker will lead a lot, but Devin Booker in the split with DeAndre Ayton off the court actually leads this team in usage at 32.4%. 32% usage rate. I mean, that's probably on this slate second to just Giannis Antetokounmpo. So I want to get as much of that into my lineups as possible. He's 9,200 on FanDuel, 8,900 on DraftKings. My early fantasy projections have him top 3, top 4 with LeVert, with Giannis. Obviously, Giannis is a mile ahead of everybody else, but Devin Booker has a real chance to be the number 2 fantasy scorer on this slate. So I would want those points as much as I can get them. So I'm leaning on him quite a bit. You mentioned maybe some buyer's remorse with JaVale McGee. Kind of reminds me of a couple weeks back. Remember, everyone was at the Hassan Whiteside slot machine, pumping quarters. And then kind of when it made sense to get off it, that's when he exploded. We know JaVale McGee has slate breaking potential. We know he can, have 7 stocks out of nowhere in 22 minutes. You never play McGee for minutes anyway. So you when you fire him up, you expect an 18 to 24 minutes as your window. I wouldn't give up on him. I don't think the Mavericks is not really an optimal matchup for anyone. They're a really good defense. This heavily depleted Pacers team probably a good enough spot to get back there on JaVale McGee. And we're not getting a big price increase. He's been kind of chopping minutes down the middle with Bismack Biyombo. Biyombo winning the seesaw in terms of that minute split, 25-28, his last 2 games. So if you have JaVale McGee concerns and you're running multiple entries, you owe it to yourself to get to some Biyombo exposure. If you want to put them both in a player group on Fantasy Cruncher and say, at most one of these two, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think on a short slate, I might be okay with just letting her rip. I think they're both cheap enough that if they combine for, a low 40 or 50, I don't think that's an anomalic outcome. And I might get to some overlap between them. But like I said, Bataze's still there. And Bataze's actually jumped both those guys in price point. So easily some more pushback, but Bataze has been somebody that we've seen when given opportunity has shown some good fantasy viability per minute. But you do wonder if his production takes a step backwards if LeVert and Brogdon pick it up. And remember that the Warriors were without all of their interior defense. So he had a little bit more of a positive matchup in that spot than he did this spot.
All right. I am trying. God, it seems like every site I would normally go to look at a game flow box score, it does not have that Pacers one.
Yeah, I noticed that too this morning. Trying to predict.
Yeah, Popcorn Machine hasn't updated in 5 days. Add More Funds, which I usually go to, looks like it's glitching probably because it was an overtime game because they have everything else. And then the other 2 sites that I go to, I'm not as quick at navigating to them, but didn't have it either. So that's just kind of weird. I wonder if there was something wonky that came through with the feed or something that tripped up the scrapers. That pulled that information because I wanted to see what really happened with Jackson's minutes there. So he did end up with 5 fouls on that. That's a deep play, but hey, short slate here. We got to look at different things, and on some of the sites he does have power forward eligibility, which is a little helpful considering we have just from this game alone we have several punt center options. If you were on Yahoo and you were going to choose between Bataze and JaVale McGee, both are 13. Do you have a lean on that one? I think it's Bataze, but we're projecting JaVale for 1 more fantasy point at this time.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think if the projection's that close, I might just use our Awesemo ownership projections and take the lower owned guy, right? And hope for the best.
Technically, McGee is 22% and Bataze is 28%. So we're looking at darn near a tie here. Something I'm sure we'll shake loose for that one, or you could just swerve and play Bismack Biyombo for 13 as well, and you're going to get him for 9. So or you could play both Bataze and JaVale. Use your utility slot on that one. Let's see here. We got some time for some questions. We'll happily take those as we wind things down a little bit here. Want to mention a couple other things. We do have 8 more shows coming up. After us, we've got a bunch of NFL, NHL. We've got the big MMA fight tonight. You're gonna get Rinpack is going to be on the NFL or the basketball. We'll just go with basketball. We'll just leave the national whatever associations off. We're gonna go with the NBA deeper dive. Rinpack just he won $50K last night over there on Yahoo because he's Rinpack, and that's just what happens.
But yeah, we call that Friday, Emac. Rinpack he's just winning money every day. What a goat. Yeah.
So I had a chance to talk to him. We were talking about something else, and he was telling me he really was fired up for the Awesemo odd shopper. He says, he's like, I'm in a bit of a slump, Emac. It's all the player props that are keeping me afloat here. I may have to dial back in the DFS. I'm like, yeah, right. And here he is, less than 48 hours later, he's racking 50K. So I see what you're doing there, Ryan. I see what you're doing. But we've got some fun over here for the odd shopper. So that's something that's totally free. Producer Chris has that up on the screen right now. Very handy to use. And it's also helpful to use if you're playing some of the fantasy contests. If you don't have sports wagering, but you have some of those parlay contests that you can play in, this is a perfect place to come see where the results are. You can see that we tell you what the Awesemo projection is. So if it's a points or rebounds or what have you, that number that's appearing there, that's coming straight out of the Awesemo DFS model. And because of course, that goes down to all contingencies. So that pops out there. We also tell you what your ROI, expected ROI is going to be. And that's important. And this is where the odds shopping comes in, because you'll find you get different lines at the different sports books. So sometimes it'll be minus 120 to win 100. Sometimes it's minus 10 to win 100 for that same bet. That may not seem like a lot, but that's really a 10% towards your profit or your expense. And that is when we're living on the margins going against the casinos or the sports books. Every little bit helps. So we do the heavy lifting here for you. If you want to just have some fun, we've got the parlay builder up there in the upper left corner. That's a lot of fun. You can click on that. It's just automatically going to show you one of the parlays, but you can click on the parlay builder, and then you can choose different styles. You want to go with the chalk, you can go with the chalk. You want to go with the long shots, go with the long shots. You want to go with the underdogs who are have a better chance of winning, you can build a parlay card out of that. It's a lot of fun there. And those are almost like little GPPs. You can get 4, 5, 6, 7 parlay, put down $10, and a lot of them you'll have a chance to win somewhere between $300 and $500. They are long shots. They don't come in all the time, but it's kind of fun to throw them out there, and especially on NBA or the late slates or NFL in-game wagering, all that fun stuff. When you don't really have any more lineups to build for DFS, you can wander on over here and have a little bit of fun. So good times had by all. Free content today. I know we've got free content because we always have something out there. We do have the NBA player rankings. We have the NHL top stacks, and we have the UFC pro plays. So we've got a little bit of goodness out there for everybody. Let's see. Got a DM question here. Hey, EMAC, just starting out. Love the Awesemo stuff. What is a good place to start building my bankroll? Well, it's like they planted that question for me. I would say Yahoo. Again, want to remind everybody that we do have that $15 site credit contest that is going off today. You enter it for $15, regardless of whether you win or lose. They're going to give you $15 of site credit. So that is helpful as well. So a lot of good stuff there here at Awesemo, etc. Couple questions here. Would you rather double the field on JaVale? No.
Skip that question. I'm trying to stop. Don't do it.
What's wrong with these questions?
Don't I mean, skip that question. Go ahead.
What's wrong with these questions?
Okay. All right. See.
I wasn't born yesterday. The day before yesterday, but not yesterday. So.
EMAC is P.
Let's see. Play on FanDuel, so can't do showdown golf. No, but they do have weekend contests still, I believe, which reminds me, I got to get in my DK showdown contest today. So that is always fun. All right. If nothing overly exciting is going on here, we're going to dip out of here a little early. Again, just a three gamer. We're going to get some bigger Saturday slates as soon as the NFL winds down. Of course, that will bring in some heavy Sunday slates. Starting tomorrow, we've got a good one. Depending on when it goes off, it'll either be a 9-gamer starting at 6, or it will be a 6-gamer starting at 7. We'll plan our shows accordingly, depending on how that comes out. But again, we're always here at the Awesemo YouTube channel. You guys want to hit that like button. Almost to have 100. We'd love to get 100 as we dip on out of here. That would be fantastic. And hit that subscribe button. We're marching towards 100,000. That should be a lot of fun. Gundacker, any final thoughts on this wonderful Saturday that is very, very cold?
I just hopefully any news that does hit comes out. I would say if it, like, normally a slate that's staggered like this is fun for those of you that take full advantage of late swapping. An hour between each game, you can have lines that you know if you got table setters or lines that you need some help, so you can process and pace yourself. Unfortunately, it's this set of games where a lot of lopsided spreads, but I normally do like chilling at the desk and using late swap every 40 minutes and making lineups as optimal as they can be. So if you do hit on a punt in the first game, right, if a Davion Mitchell or Dante DiVincenzo, some random guy gets there for you, you can start swapping it to some more optimal stuff as you go, and that would be another great way to take advantage of those Awesemo tools, because those projections are pretty fluid as news comes out too.
Absolutely. Those are constantly updating with each new news nugget that comes out. So with that, gamers, we're going to get on out of here. You can follow Gundacker on Twitter at Gundacker. I am at EMACDFS. Of course, it is Awesemo _COM. With that, gamers, good luck.